Welcome to the Rimworld mod rundown. We'll be taking a quick look at what you can expect to see from Vanilla Temperature Expanded. For starters, you'll need to own the additional workshop content, Vanilla Expanded Framework, and Harmony. If this mod feels familiar to you, don't worry, you're not going crazy. Temperature Expanded includes features you might have seen in Replace Stuff and Dub's Bad Hygiene, bringing them together in a simple, straightforward solution. With Temperature Expanded, you'll have access to fully ducted air conditioning systems, industrial-sized coolers and heaters, as well as wall-mounted coolers, heaters and vents, standing coolers, ceiling fans, and a heat proximity system that is an absolute lifesaver if you're using Vanilla Factions Expanded Tribal.
Yeah! Look what I have created! I have made fire!
Let's cover the new mechanic first, heat proximity. By default, this only works outdoors, with internal temperatures still functioning the same. If you'd like to change that, there is a setting in the mod options to enable proxy heat effects indoors, and also to allow plant growth inside the proxy heat radius. So what does proxy heat change? Structures and natural features, like steam geysers, now have an AoE of temperature around them, the size and severity of which can vary based on the source. For example, a torch only warms up the area directly around it, so a small 3x3 box for around 12 degrees, whereas a campfire does a 5x5 box, minusing the corners, for an additional 18 degrees. This doesn't just work for warmth either. You can also cool down an area by building passive coolers or standing coolers. This might help those deep drill workers who are suffering with heat stroke because they're standing under a blazing sun all day. The one thing this doesn't impact is the ability to simply deconstruct a wall to turn an indoor room into the outdoors. This will still immediately dump the temperature, removing the risk of things like superheated air, spontaneous combustion, or passing out from heat stroke in a burning building. I can imagine that the reason is that having to do all the processing behind the scenes for every single tick of fire and the AoE that it impacts will be absolutely massive, and bring ticks to a crawl whenever large blazes started. If you didn't know about this trick, now you do. Next time you're exploring an ancient complex and it's filled with incendiary traps, just deconstruct a wall to stop the whole facility going supernova. Okay, that was easy enough. Let's cover the new versions of the standard heaters and coolers, unlocked with electricity research and air conditioning. If you've used Replace Stuff before, you'll be familiar with overwall coolers and vents. Wall-mounted versions are the same. Whereas you'll need to pull an entire wall down to build a normal cooler in Vanilla Rimworld, leaving an incredibly weak spot in the wall, now you can hook up your coolers, heaters and vents independently on top of a wall block, giving you temperature control and strength. Temperature Expanded also goes some way in normalising your options in Rimworld. You have coolers that take an entire wall segment, so why not a heater that does the same? You have standing heaters, so why not standing coolers? This means you now have a complete set of choices. Full coolers, heaters and vents, wall-mounted coolers, heaters and vents, standing coolers and heaters. You also have industrial heaters and coolers. These are 2x1 structures that are hugely impactful, far more than stacking 2 normal coolers or heaters would achieve. They'll allow you to easily regulate temperatures in rooms when working in extreme conditions, like desert or sea ice biomes, if you're a total masochist. You now also have a large and small ceiling fan, which works similarly to passive coolers, using electricity instead of needing to be restocked with wood. Very powerful for keeping the base at a comfortable temperature in warm biomes, as they use next to no power and can easily disperse the temperature between rooms with the use of vents too. Just be aware that currently they block stockpiles from working underneath them, so if you place them in certain configurations you might cut your storeroom in half. Also, if you're from South Korea, these are 100% safe to leave running in a colonist's bedroom. They definitely won't die. And finally, you've got the air conditioning systems, without needing to install all of Dubs and include the water and waste mechanics. Unlocked via its own research in the tree, air conditioning works with a few component pieces: control units, ducts, AC units and compressors. Everything besides ducts are also going to need power, so when placing your air ducts, consider running them over the same tiles that you are already running your power lines along. You'll want one control unit per AC system, as having multiple control units hooked up to a single system or joining two separate systems together via a duct will cause issues and stop them working. The control unit is trying to set the desired temperature across all of the outputs connected to that ducting system, the most likely option being whatever's the most comfortable temperature you want spreading across the entire base or work area. The benefit of using an AC system is that it can both heat and cool rooms as required in one single unit. So in moderate temperatures it covers you for both cold snaps and heat waves, without needing multiple temperature management devices in every room. The AC itself outputs via a wall-mounted unit, or a big chunky unit that replaces an entire wall. Whichever style you prefer is personal preference, just know that wall-mounted units are obviously superior and you're wrong for thinking otherwise. As well as requiring power, the air that they're circulating will also need its temperature regulated by compressors, which need to be built outside without any ceiling above them. As standard, the AC control unit can support 2 devices. Small compressors support an additional 2, and large compressors support an additional 6. This means that you're going to need a bit of space in an unroofed area to stack a few compressors, as it'll then let you regulate all of your temperature needs with just one system. Whilst the control unit is aiming for one overall temperature goal, individual AC units can be set higher or lower as required, overriding the desired temperature setting, so you can easily keep fridges nice and chilled, or aim for a cooler temperature in rooms that can potentially get hot through work, like smelters or crematoriums. Or, if you wanted, you could raise the temperature so that everybody gets the sweaty and slept in the heat debuff.
We're gonna get this place hot and clammy. Just like the McBoyles like it.
The last thing to remember with AC units is that they have efficiency ratings. The amount of units that compressors can support is important, as going over that limit will see efficiency drop and power consumption of the network dramatically rise, as they're now having to work in overdrive to keep everything at the desired temperature. So whilst yes, if you get caught out with a bad temperature event, you can add additional AC units into the network to keep everybody toasty warm or nice and cool, you'll want to get some additional compressors hooked up when possible to avoid your power grid looking like a Satisfactory player's reoccurring nightmare. And that's it. A really simple mod to cover today, but extremely useful for players that love the functionality of things like dubs without wanting all of the additional needs and surrounding functionality. I'd quite happily take this mod for the ceiling fans alone. They're far nicer than passive coolers, they're really energy efficient, and it gives the base a much more modern feeling than those fat blocky coolers and vents just on every single wall. The industrial heater also gives you some neat options to really quickly stop prisoner uprisings by superheating the cells. Or it can be used as an ignition source to start an inferno if you find yourself with a small infestation problem. It'll happily reach temperatures of up to 1000 degrees with enough time. Hey, it can't be called a war crime if there aren't any people left alive to describe the horrific things that you did. Thanks for watching, folks. If you have any mods you'd like to see a full breakdown for, or suggestions of mods you'd like to see covered, feel free to leave them in the comments, I might get around to them. I'll be back again soon with another Rimworld mod rundown. Wherever you are in the world, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon or evening. Take care.